The latest video that I produced with Michael Ellis is titled The Foundation of Puppy Bite Work with Michael Ellis. It deals with teaching puppies from 8 weeks through adolescence, which can be up to 16 months old, how to do bite work. In this DVD, we have sections on certain dogs should never be trained in bite work. Michael and I both agree that unless a dog is genetically predisposed to do bite work and wants to do bite work, it should not be trained in bite work. This next little newsletter video deals with exactly that. It can be easy for a new trainer to misinterpret the aggressive behaviors an adolescent or young adult dog displays when exposed to helper work.
So it's not so much channeling. Usually if the dog starts to go backwards, then we'll turn off the pressure and run, or we'll give the dog a bite and quickly bail out and let them win or something like that. That's a warning sign. So if the dog is starting to go backwards, like we're in big trouble. Like that's the opposite response that we want from them in defense, right? So again, defensive expressions can be very forward or very backward, right? So a dog that comes out and I stare at the dog and the dog says, oops, and runs from me, right? Which they're out there. That's coming from the same place as the dog that launches at me and bites me in defensive circumstances. So it's exactly the same place. So what happens is when the dog starts to go away, we need to immediately alleviate stress, right? No, you can't go like, okay, what we hope to do is make the backing stuff go away by giving another response. So what happens is if they're backing up, that means I went too far and I should have alleviated the stress at the first time they showed any kind of aggression towards me, right? So maybe what happens, this is the first thing. Let's say I have a dog that's not so strong, that has a defensive response, but it's not such a strong defensive response. So it's there and I start to come towards it like this and it growls, right? If I keep coming, boom, it takes off. What I should have done is when it growled, I should have gone, whoa. Oh, it growls, whoa, right? And then I come forward again, and now it growls, and I push a little more, and it goes, rah, and then I run, right? So if I push, you don't know. That same dog, I might have kept pushing, and he might have come right out to bite me, too. He growled, and then if I kept pushing, he might have said, come here, sucker, I'll get you. Like, if you come in here, then all right. So, but we don't know if it's not a dog that I've worked. I don't know. So my thing is to give to their first sign initially to be safe. So if the dog's backing up, it meant I went too far. We need to alleviate this stress. So then I run and I reset myself. I make distance further. I do whatever I need to make the dog's response forward so that I can reward a forward response. But I don't have any choice. Ideally, I would not want to reward a backward response, but I don't have a choice at that point. As soon as the dog's backing up, they're telling you they're getting ready to avoid. They may run, right? And if I keep pushing and waiting for a forward response, I may not get it. Now that's where people do table training and other stuff like that. But to me, these dogs that have that much backward response, normally, for me, that would be a deal breaker right there. I'll stop working you in protection, period. And that's it. Like, you don't need to. Unless the dog's just a phenomenal prey biter or something outside of that and hasn't seen much defense work, I'm not going to do that, work that dog that way anymore, right? It's basically like, okay, this is not for you, right? In my opinion. But many people will work that dog. I won't. For the dogs that have a very low and unconfident, a low threshold for defensive stimulation, like I can stare at them and make them feel that way, right? Their kind of courage underneath there, their responses are weak. I continue to work with that dog. I'm not going to make that dog into a good bite work dog, but I potentially make that dog dangerous, right? So I teach them to alleviate stress. So I could take that dog's possible flight responses away from him. I can put him on a table, put him on a short tie against the wall where he can't go anywhere. And I just keep pushing until he finally decides he has no choice but to aggress forward. I alleviate that stress. He wins. Yay, ba, 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 right? So with that dog, then, because he's so low, it's not that he's going to turn from that into a great dog. He's not. I've basically taken the flight response away, and he may bite now, but he's not going to go win competitions and things like that. So now I've taught this dog to bite when he's stressed. When you don't think you can get away from something and it's making you nervous, bite it, and that you'll win. So now I have that dog out in the world. I'm hanging out at the coffee shop, and the homeless guy standing next to me stares at him a little too much, and my dog nails him, right? Oops. And the problem is I didn't turn that dog into a good protection dog. I just made myself a liability. So I taught him, when you're stressed, bite the snot out of somebody and it'll stop, and that's where it'll stop. So instead of then maybe growling and hackling up and backing away from him, he bites him now because we taught him that's what you do. Where his normal response would have been to get the hell out of there. So the homeless guy would have stared at him before that a little too much, and the dog would have gone, "Rrr," and you would have gone, hey, hey, knock it off, and you'd have got out of there, and it would have been over. But now the dog sees him and goes, oh, here it is. I got to bite this guy. I don't want it, but I got to. Bam, and he drills the person, right? So those dogs, I don't work. Like, again, before in my early stages, and I can't say that I didn't learn a lot about dog behavior from this, because I did. We made all kinds of dogs bite that had no business biting, right? We did all kinds of not good stuff, right? So in personal protection circles, we did things to get dogs that had no interest in this. And then, and again, none of these dogs turned out to be good at this stuff. You know, and we put them through all kinds of unnecessary stress and the rest of it. So now, for me personally, and everybody has their own moral code when it comes to dogs, but for mine, unless the dog really wants to do this, I'm not working it in protection. And we know right away there are plenty of dogs out here. You see puppies here now that are really enjoying themselves. They really want to bite. They want to come out. They want to grab stuff. They're into it. They're generally social, confident dogs away from this stuff. That's the dogs that we should be working in protection work, right? Because there are lots of them. And it doesn't mean that there's not some dog out there. There are some that don't show much interest, and you activate them in defense, and suddenly the switch flips, and now they're really into it, and they have good prey drive that they weren't exhibiting before that. That does happen, but it's such an anomaly that it's not worth banking on it. And for everyone that does, there's going to be 1,000 that don't, that you've put through this stress, then didn't turn out to be okay. So when it's again like everything I'm saying, right? I'm saying this is a guideline. It's the same thing with dogs. As soon as I say activating dogs purely in defense is never productive, we're gonna go find a dog that it worked beautifully for, right? But that dog is such the exception to the rule that the odds don't make it worthwhile. For me, they don't make it worthwhile. But there is occasionally a dog that activates that way and then channels prey that wouldn't channel prey before you made them. Before you stressed them in defense.
Teaching dogs how to do protection work is a complicated, detailed endeavor. There's a lot that goes into it. If you want to learn more about what's in this DVD, I sat down and wrote a 5-page description of what Michael and I put into the DVD on the foundation of puppy bite work. You can go to our website and read about it.